guys, Jeff Schneider here. Today's video is all about Altissimo. You guys have been asking about Altissimo for a long time, so here it is. Here's the video. Full disclaimer here, I don't do a lot of Altissimo in my playing, but I know enough to be dangerous, so I just wanted to share what I know with you guys so that you can get your Altissimo happening and going in the right direction. Now, the most important thing to practice to get Altissimo happening is your overtones. What are overtones? Overtones are when you play low notes on the saxophone and then you keep the same fingering but sound higher pitches. So let me do an example here. I'm going to play a low B flat. And I'm going to keep that same low B flat fingering, but sound pitches above it. It's going to sound like this. So very briefly, that's the overtone series. And we can get into that in more detail in another video, but that's what you should be practicing first and foremost. Playing your low B flat and then keeping that same fingering, but sounding the different pitches above it. And you can get pretty high with this. You can go to... and upwards and onwards into the stratosphere. So you can get into the Altissimo register just by playing overtones. That's why it's really important to be able to do that, to practice your overtones, and to have really good control. Once you're able to do that, you do it on the low B flat, you do it on the low B, the low C sharp. Once you're able to get all those overtones to come out, then it's a matter of getting the Altissimo notes and getting those fingerings. Altissimo fingerings vary from instrument to instrument. It varies from player to player. There are a lot of different variations. If you go to Google and you type in Altissimo fingerings, you'll find many different examples of how to play one note, different variations. So really what you have to do is try a bunch of fingerings out, see what feels best, see what works well for your horn, your instrument. Things to listen for are the tone quality in the specific fingering, how easy it is to play, with your physically with your fingers. A lot of these fingerings are a little bit weird and awkward, especially if you're trying to play things that are fast. So once you find fingerings that work and that sound good and that are easy enough to play, the next step is to be able to have greater facility with those fingerings. And what's worked really well for me is to take an etude, something basic, that doesn't go into the Altissimo register, but play it up an octave. So say the etude is like, I just made that up, then you would play it up the octave. Right? So that is an example of how to get your facility going on the Altissimo register. Because once you're able to access the notes with overtones, I think the hardest part really is just getting your fingers to be able to get to the notes fast enough. Another exercise that's pretty good is improvise over a blues or something really difficult like, giant steps or whatever, and force yourself not to go below the palm key D, right? So do an entire solo, but above the D, the high D on the palm key. And that'll keep you busy for a while, especially once you start increasing the tempo. So just to kind of summarize here, overtones are your best friend when it comes to getting your Altissimo together. Then it's a matter of finding the fingerings that work best for you. Here's a side note, don't tighten up with your embouchure too much. If you tighten up with your embouchure, it's gonna pinch the sound and make it sound bad. You might need to do a little bit more pressure with your embouchure than normal, but don't overdo it, okay? It's really just about getting a very nice open sound. You don't want it to sound too different from your regular register. You still want it to be a nice, open, clean sound. So again, summarizing, practice your overtones, get the fingerings that work well for you and your horn, and then take any kind of music, any etude or any transcribed solo, whatever, and play it up the octave so you're forced to get into that register. And then if you want to do an improvisation, you can take a tune and improvise using notes that are only above a high D or a high F or whatever you want to do. And that's really it. It's a lot of practice, it's a lot of work. Again, I don't do that much of it, but I can play a little bit and it's a nice effect when I need those notes. So again, if you have questions, as always, you can leave them down below. Comments are welcome too, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Schneider. I'll see you next time.